6 running backs you must draft for fantasy football. We just talked about wide receivers, but the running back position is so much more crucial. Wide receivers, there's almost a replenishable amount of them. With running backs, outside of the first 4 or 5 rounds, there's almost nobody to choose from. There's almost no 3-down workhorse backs in the league anymore. Almost everything is run through a committee, and if you don't get one of the top guys in the top 2 rounds, it could be bad. So these are the guys that I personally am drafting in every league. There are some people to avoid. We talked about that in another video if you want to check it out. But we're going to talk about mainly the guys in the first top 25. First name, Kenneth Walker. These is kind of not really in order specifically, but the running back 11. And last season we saw the potential of Kenneth Walker. I mean, we always knew that he was such an explosive runner. And best season in Seattle, 221 carries, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. But you look at what happened with how Clint Kubiak was running that offense. If Kenneth Walker got all the carries, there's a likelihood he could have had 1,600 yards. I mean, it's a Super Bowl MVP for a reason. Zach Charbonnet stole a lot of his work. He stole multiple touchdowns. I mean, the Chiefs paid him. They paid him for a reason. They paid him to basically take the load off of Patrick Mahomes for the first half of the season, if not the entire season. This is going to be a run-first offense. Pacheco and Hunt didn't get it done. You're likely going to see him on 2. I'm hoping he gets a 3-down workhorse back. I believe somebody else is Cyrus Allen or somebody is probably going to, Rashad Smith. Somebody's going to want to come in and take the receiving work. But looking at the Chiefs running back room, there's really not much competition. I feel like Walker's still going to get the carries. It's just the amount of yards. How is he going to, is he going to have 30, 40 catches? That's what's going to limit him upside-wise to being a top 5 or better running back. I think he finishes around the 7-8 range, maybe top 6. But he's a very safe. I mean, this is a running back. The Chiefs have not had a crazy star running back since Jamal Charles, and he's, that's been maybe a decade since Charles played on the Chiefs. So they're gonna work. Walker a lot, and I feel like the last running back they kind of used was Kareem Hunt, who we've seen great seasons from Chiefs running backs before. It has just been a while, but I think Kenneth Walker's a pretty, fan favorite in terms of a lot of people. I've been seeing, Kenneth Walker this, Kenneth Walker that. And yes, there's really no reason why he should be bad. The only thing I would be scared of, and we saw it 2024, is if he is in that 3-down workhorse back, potential injury. I mean, that's kind of the thing with any running back. Last year, we had one of the most healthy running back seasons ever, and we'll knock on the table for him. But the thing is, any running back can get hurt. It really is hard to predict that. I feel like if you look at his season, again, he hasn't had much carries. Any running back can get hurt at any time. I will take my chances on Kenneth Walker early and take a couple running backs later. Another great player, Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton, 9 games last year, and what we were seeing through the first few games where he was starting to flourish as the running back one when Najee Harris went down preseason. Weeks 1 and 2 were not the best. Week 1 he didn't even see the field. Week 2, tough game against Vegas. He didn't see many attempts. And then weeks 3, 4, 5, I mean, he was the guy. 19 carries, 70 yards, 12 carries, 128 yards. He was starting to get a lot of carries. My fear with this upside play is same thing. How many receptions is he going to get? Keaton Mitchell's also in this backfield. Mike McDaniel's going to want to throw it to receivers. My hope is Devon Achane saw a lot of receptions in the Miami offense. Maybe they keep Hampton out there, but I feel like because he got hurt last year, they're going to want to keep him fresh. But he also came back, 56 yards, 61, 85. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry. He's going to see 250-plus carries this year. He's probably going to see double-digit touchdowns. So, yeah, the range of where he's going right now might be a little bit. I don't know, Hampton. So, RB9, I'll take Hampton all day. I think I would be 100% okay with Walker and Hampton as my 2 running backs if I were to take them at, the end of the first round. Take Walker and Hampton at, picks 11 or 12. I would be okay with that and just take my chances because if you draft 2 running backs early, I like to have a balanced kind of draft in the first few rounds, but there's a lot of running backs to choose from, and we're going to get into this list a little bit kind of more in depth, but there's also a lot of names that I like outside of the top 20, and there's 2 in particular that I'm okay with getting those 2 guys. But Hampton behind a new offensive line in a new system. The only thing that I'm concerned with these 2 players is their ceiling as to how high can they be ranked for fantasy purposes. If Hampton gets the work, he could be a top 3 running back. Same thing with Walker, but likely they're not going to be receiving backs. Maybe Hampton. Walker, he hasn't really been, but again, 40-ish receptions, I'm thinking, for both of them. Maybe 50 for Hampton. Saquon Barkley. A lot of people are like, he's 29, he's getting up. It's still Saquon Barkley. And I think a big problem to why the Eagles didn't do so great last year was Kevin Patullo. So now I think Saquon, new system. I'm excited to see what he could do this year. The only problem is the defense is going to key in on him a little bit. The couple seasons ago, he had 2,000 yards on the ground. But yeah, I think the 4.1 yards a carry isn't as inefficiency going down. It's really just lack of play calling where you're going, HB dive right up the middle. So Patullo did not do a great job with that. And Sean Mannion, the new offensive coordinator for the Eagles, I think it'll be a great season for Barkley. Again, somebody who's outside the top 9. I think RB10. He's going as the top 5 running back last year. Wasn't high on Barkley after a 2,000-yard season, but this year I think he could be a lot more consistent. I mean, if you're getting somebody with Barkley's caliber to have a potential, obviously that's a hard thing to ask for if he does ever get 2,000 yards again, but I think he'll probably be closer to 10 touchdowns considering they've been able to stop the sneak. This is also Lane Johnson's last season. Not that that has anything to do with Barkley. I mean, yeah, technically works the Eagles' offensive line, but point being is Barkley's a very safe option, and I love him in the second round as great value, and he's probably going to finish right around that range. I think 10 is his floor because we've seen such a high ceiling from Barkley in the past. Now, this might be an obvious one. Ashton Jeanty is an RB5. Obviously, you want to stay away from the big, obvious names like Bijan. Yeah, obviously you want to draft him, Gibbs. But I feel like there's this wishy-washy thing with Jeanty where they're like, there's a lot of people out there like, I don't know. It's a new offense, new system. I'd like to look at the positives. Now, I will be honest. I was very high on Jeanty last year as a rookie. But we've seen a lot of rookies in the past. Bijan not necessarily have the best rookie season, but second year breakout. And we could honestly go there if we want. Hang on. Compared the 2 years, 2023 to 2024, that's the kind of season. 2024, right here. This is what we can expect from Ashton Jeanty. Close to 300 carries. He's going to get the workhorse role. Some people are worried about Mike Washington. Clint Kubiak is amazing in terms of run, play action. It's going to work really well off him. Jeanty was drafted in the top 10. He's built to be a workhorse running back. And obviously he's not going to get all the snaps, but he's going to get around 70%. He's a great receiver, as we saw, a great blocker, and a great runner. Yeah, there were some plays last year. I'm blaming that on the offensive line. One of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in my life. But look at Bijan's stats. 300 carries, 1,400 yards, 80 catches. Same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs. Season 1, Montgomery's taking a lot of time. Season 2, 250, 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns. Are we going to see that extent of kind of Ashton Jeanty, who, we look at, only 266 attempts, 3.7 yards a carry. They brought in Tyler Linderbaum. They brought in Clint Kubiak. Chip Kelly was bad. He was bad last year. I owned a lot of Ashton Jeanty, and I would, for anyone who drafted Jeanty last year, I'd be a little bit like, I don't want to get burned twice. But that's the time when you don't draft somebody that, it's Keon Coleman. Terrible example, but, you draft him last year, you draft him this year, and then he just completely is terrible. Now he's the wide receiver 5. I feel like that's a bad example. But Jeanty, a top 10 running back, and running back's also not wide receiver, but this is an absolute breakout season, and I think a potential RB1 finish for a guy who's RB5, kind of similar to where Gibbs and Bijan were in their second season ranked. Bijan was like top 6, so everyone's like, yeah, he'll still have a solid season. But no, Jeanty's going to break out. He's going to have 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's going to have 40, 50 catches. Just think about the wide receivers, Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor. There's nobody in that receiving room outside of Brock Bowers. So Jeanty's going to get a lot of work this year. And 2 more names left, but these are going to be some big names. Okay, Cam Skattebo. These are the running backs that I kind of mentioned from earlier that are in the later rounds that can absolutely be league winners. So in the tier 4 range, we're going to start it with Cam Skattebo. People are worried he's going to run through a brick wall. He's going to get hurt. If anybody is going to be scared to draft a player because they're getting hurt, you shouldn't be playing fantasy football. It's all about taking that risk factor on that player to have a great season. Christian McCaffrey, I can get behind the understanding of not wanting to draft him because of injury with your first pick. You can get Cam Skattebo in the 4th, 5th, maybe even the 6th round. I mean, that his value is going up because he's returned from injury. And it's not like, yeah, he may have had a crazy injury last year. I'm not going to say it's not a crazy injury, but it's not like he had an ACL or crazy, ligament damage. He had a broken bone. He had a bone sticking through the skin. Yeah, it's ankle. We saw the injury. It was bad against the Eagles. He got rolled up on. It was bad. But the fact that everyone's like, oh, he only played 8 games, he got hurt. Most of the time, when somebody is coming off a season where they got hurt, they're going to play, I don't want to say that much better, but they're going to play to the extent to where they play good. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. Christian McCaffrey, everyone's like, he's boom or bust. Just look at the pattern. Seriously. With McCaffrey, it's almost been like every other season, he's been healthy. And that's, it's sorry to say, but just let's have some knowledge here. Okay, 2023, great season. 2024, gets hurt. 2025, everyone was scared to draft him. I'm like, coming off a hurt season, he might come back better. Boom, he has the RB1 season. And now this year, everyone's like, yeah, if he stays healthy, he'll be great. So don't draft scared. Also, McCaffrey's 30 years old, 4 yards a carry, so stay away from that. But yeah, just looking at what little sneak peek. But yeah, looking at what we're going to get from Skattebo, he's going to be the 3-down workhorse back. Think about John Harbaugh's system. He's going to be maybe have a Henry kind of guy. Skattebo is Dart's guy. He's going to be on the field. He's 100 times better than Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy. There's just no competition in that backfield, and I was surprised I didn't pick up on it last year, but 4 yards a carry, I think that's a little low efficiency-wise. He should be around 4.5 yards a carry. He was a guy averaging 15 fantasy points. Skattebo's going to be an absolute monster. Of course, everyone's going to be a monster if they stay healthy, but there's really no reason he doesn't succeed. 24 years old. He's a great player in terms of he'll run through a brick wall for his teammates. If anyone's scared about the injury, just think about the value you're getting him at. And even if he does play only 8 games and he has 15 points a game, I think you'll take that out of him. And then you could also draft 3 running backs. You could take Kenneth Walker, Ashton Jeanty in the first 2 rounds, and then you get Skattebo in the 4th round, and he's your 3rd running back. And if he gets hurt, okay, that was your flex play. So you just have to kind of feel out the draft. And if you go robust RB and you have a 3rd or 4th running back like David Montgomery, this is where you shine. So if you're scared about drafting Cam Skattebo and you're like, what's that, Javonte Williams-like running back? And to be fair, Montgomery's going on significantly higher than Javonte was. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to feel about the Texans offense. I've seen a lot of takes to where it's like, I just don't know how to feel about the Texans offense. Anytime you have an unknown feeling about a player, you need to be able to go that direction. Go where you feel uncomfortable, because that's what I've learned in fantasy research. If you're like, that player is an absolute wild card, I would explore that area a little bit more, because the likelihood is they're probably either somebody you want to draft that has upside, or you want to stay away from them. So for me, I'm a Texans fan. You see the flag behind me. There's no reason I'm not drafting David Montgomery, but let me convince you guys. David Montgomery, first time since his Chicago days where he is going to be a 3-down workhorse back. Yes, the age is somebody. Everyone's going to be like, I don't know. But we all know what David Montgomery's capable of. He is an explosive back who apparently lost 10 pounds this offseason, but is going to put up 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. And for somebody going outside of the top 20 running backs who's going to have 1,000 yards, finish 10 touchdowns, I want him on every single one of my teams. But I think that's the floor for Montgomery. He is going to be a 3-down workhorse back because Woody Marks he's a young buck. He's a rookie. He's going to get some carries. He's going to get about 30, maybe 35% of the workload, but he's not going to be anything of a pest. This is the Texans traded for Montgomery for a reason, mainly because Nick Chubb was so inefficient last year. The problem with the Texans last season was the fact that Nick Chubb was so bad they needed a running back. And I want to mention, if you are concerned about, the Texans don't have an offensive line. First of all, this is the second season they have this new system under Nick Caley. It's a second year under this offense. Ariante Ursary, the second-year tackle you drafted last year. You picked up Wyatt Teller in free agency. You drafted Keelan Rutledge this year to be your starting center out of Georgia Tech. He is a monster. Ed Ingram got a big contract extension this offseason. The Vikings traded him. They didn't like him. He played great in the run game, was a decent pass blocker. Braden Smith just picked him up from the Colts. And apparently, he's not even the number 1 guy in camp. Trent Brown has been a monster. So the Texans absolutely upgraded their offensive line. They traded Titus Howard, which I was surprised about. I was like, what is Nick Caserio doing? And boom, this is an offensive line that's going to be great. In the second season with a new offense, maybe first season they were just working out the kinks. This is going to be a team that runs the ball 250, 275 times, if not more, with their starting guy in Montgomery. Woody Marks, everyone's like, Woody Marks, he was pretty good last year. He was in because Nick Chubb was so bad. Nick Chubb was so bad that they had to play the rookie that I don't even think they even wanted to, because he was great in some games but inefficient in others. Montgomery is going to tear up the league. It's going to be crazy. So 250 yards a carry, around 4.5 yards a carry is what I'll expect from him. Just over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, and about 40 catches in the receiving game. That's going to be a top 15 top 15 running back finish, and very similar numbers to Javonte Williams. So there's the top 6 running backs. You get a draft, and we'll go back through them in order. Kenneth Walker, Omarion Hampton, Cam Skattebo, Ashton Jeanty, Saquon Barkley, and David Montgomery. So thank you everyone so much for watching. This has been the Big Z Breakdown. Go ahead and check out our other videos in terms of the wide receiver must drafts we just did. We're going all season long. Let me know your comments about fantasy questions in the comments, of course. So, and I'll, of course, look at them and let you know. But enjoy, research, drafts. Be back. Draft season's here. We'll see you next video.